The podcast that you're about to listen to may cause some listeners to spontaneously break into a full-throated version of Happy Birthday.
Well, hey there, happy innovators. How y'all doing? I'm doing pretty good. In fact, I'm doing really good because today is my 53rd birthday. I'm 53 years old today. April 30th, 1971 was the year that I was born. And here I am now on the other side of 50, 3 years past the big 50. And, well, you know, I gotta say, it's not so bad. Not quite as bad as I thought it might be. And, you know, what can I say? I'm glad that I've made it this far in life. And hopefully, there'll be a lot more life for me to live. I hope. There's always hope. You know, it was really strange today when I was waking up in the morning. There was a lot of thunder and lightning going on outside, and it was really loud, you know, loud enough to wake me up. And I don't know if that was an omen or what. You know, it's my birthday, and I wake up to thunderclaps like that are shaking the house, you know. And yeah, I woke up, you know, I was up, but that doesn't usually happen here. Ever. So what does that mean? You know, today my day started out that way. Anyway, so how are you guys doing, huh? How you doing? You know, every once in a while I'll go back and I'll listen to previous podcasts that I've done, especially ones that I kind of feel you know, a little bit uneasy about, or I'm unsure about. And, you know, so recently I was listening to that podcast I did about my cousin, you know, taking his own life and all that. And, you know, it had been on my mind since I made the podcast. You know, I wasn't quite sure if maybe I had revealed too much, you know, had been too touchy-feely and too open about the situation. And I decided to sit down and, you know, it's been about a month or so or whatever since I did it, and listen to it with, you know, fresh ears. And I gotta say, you know, overall, I'm pretty happy with that one. You know, I kind of put myself out there a little bit, maybe a little too much, but in the final analysis, I think that while some people may have a problem with me talking about something like suicide and that kind of thing, like they're triggered by it or something, I think that it's important to talk about those things, you know? Actually, when I think about it like that, it kind of gets me, you know, a little bit frustrated with the people out there in the world, out there in the community that are uncomfortable with people talking about real things, you know, like how people really feel about something. Like, you have to guard what you say and you have to be careful about what you say. And it's like, you know what? Forget that. Okay? It's total bullshit. Because basically, the way that I see it, the way that I'm seeing things now, is that there's this like younger generation of people that were raised, you know, in the same country that I'm in, you know, pretty much the same culture, but with a lot of social dysfunction and a lot of differences and things that kind of sucked for them, okay? So it's not really like their fault, but I come from a generation where it was very different, you know, and the generation I come from has a different outlook, usually, on, you know, pretty significant social issues, okay? And I've thought about this a lot. So naturally, I have a lot of opinions about that. And I see this strange kind of thing where there's this younger generation that is kind of forcefully trying to change things that they don't like, all right? And that's cool. You know, everybody has the freedom to express themselves and to disagree and to challenge ideas. Like, I think that's a very healthy thing to do. But the problem is that a lot of the time, the younger generations who are very disrespectful to older people, like myself, by the way, they have like no sense of respect for elders, which that's one of those things that when I was growing up, that was just the way it was, man. You treated people that were older than you with respect. But unfortunately, and probably due to some kind of lack of good parenting from people from my generation, you know, who had kids and were raising kids, and they were doing it, I don't know, maybe in a really kind of insufficient way or something, where the world ends up the way that it is right now. You know, this lack of respect. And I think about this a lot because I see it a lot. I don't experience it a lot, but I see a lot of it, you know, on social media, you know. And, you know, everybody's familiar with what I'm talking about right now. There's like, you know, all these calls to change everything, you know, that we grew up with, or that we've grown accustomed to, and maybe things that we actually enjoy or like about life and culture and society. You know, we're kind of being force-fed this kind of new message, you know? And it's really kind of stupid because when you think about it, it's like, okay, you know, I'm 53 years old today, right? I'm over 50. I've already been 18 years old. I've already been 22 years old. I've already been 35 years old. I know what it's like to be 36, 37, 43. You know, I've already done that. So there's nothing that some younger person is really going to be able to really inform me about that I haven't already figured out for myself by this point, okay? And it doesn't make much sense to me, really, that we would be kowtowing to the younger generation. Like, I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna do it. That's just how I feel about it, you know? You may agree with me, you may disagree with me, and I don't care either way, really. You know, I honor anybody who's listening to this podcast's freedom to make decisions for themselves. But let me give you a metaphor or like an analogy to this way I'm thinking that maybe will make it a little bit clearer for you, the listener. Okay? So imagine that you're driving a car. Okay? I've been driving forever. You know, I've been driving for a long time, you know? So I know how to drive a car. And imagine in that car, there's like a young kid in the back seat, you know, trying to tell me like what we're gonna do, like how I'm gonna drive, where I'm gonna drive, you know, and I'm not down with that. I'm not down with that. Like, why would I listen to some kid sitting in the back seat telling me how to drive. I'm like way older than them, and they don't even know how to drive. And why am I listening to this kid? And I don't really know what the deal is right now with society and culture and everything, but I get the impression, I'm not sure, okay, but I've analyzed it and I've come to some conclusions, and I kind of wonder if the parents of these kids that are trying to dictate to the rest of the world like what we're gonna do and how it's gonna be, like, their parents never told them no. Their parents didn't teach them respect. Their parents never told them to shut up. You know, be quiet. And so they get this idea in their head from their parents, from their families, that it's okay to run roughshod over everybody and try to dictate how things are going to be, because every time they did that at home, their parents didn't, make an adjustment to their attitude. Their parents probably kowtowed to them and, caved in, trying to keep the kids happy, trying to be a good parent. But sometimes being a good parent is looking them in the eye and saying, no, we are not doing that. I will not do that. No, you can't have that. I'm sorry, you cannot have that. And I've always been kind of, of the mindset where it's like, you go out into the world and there's all kinds of people that you're going to meet, you're going to interact with, and you learn from your family, really, hopefully, how to contend with those things, how to deal with those things. And if you don't learn those lessons in your home when you're a little kid from your parents or your brothers or your sisters or whatever, okay, whoever is in your house and supposed to be guiding you, if they don't correct you, they don't show you the way, then when you go out in the world, you're going to think that the rest of the world is like your parents that let you get away with everything you want to do. And you're going to find out that that's not how the world works. It's unrealistic to expect that from people, And there may be some younger people listening to this podcast right now. I highly doubt it. But if there are, they're probably like, oh, I don't agree with this. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. But there are people that are like my age that are hearing me talk right now, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the kind of thing that nobody really wants to say. They're afraid to say it. But it's like, what's that one girl's name? Greta Thunberg? Whatever, Thunberg. The girl who was talking about climate change or whatever, still is apparently, or whatever. It's like, why the hell would I ever listen to her? Like, who are you again? Who are you? Oh, what did you say? Something about global warming or something? Oh, okay, yeah. Like, that's nice. Sit down. You're a little kid. Shut up. Like, I don't know. Does that sound bad? Does it sound mean? Am I triggering people? It's like, man, I don't care. I don't care if you're triggered. I don't care. I don't want you to be, but damn it, I'm not going to change everything I say and do to make you happy. And the same goes for anything, like YouTube or anybody, the people who try to clamp down and, throw censorship down on people. And if you don't abide by the rules, you won't get paid on YouTube. You won't make any money. Well, you want to know something? I don't make any money on YouTube. I don't care about money. And I guess that allows me the freedom to pretty much say whatever I want, And yeah, sometimes I'm wrong, Sometimes I'm right, just like everybody else. But this idea of letting that kid sitting in the back seat of my car tell me how I'm going to drive and tell me, rewrite the rules of the road that I'm on from the back seat of the car, having never been me, having never been my age before, it's like, want to know something? You can keep that where you keep it, Take that home to your parents and get it out of my face, because I'm not your dad and I'm not your mom. Right? Shut up. Get out of my face and quit trying to dictate to me how I'm going to live my life. Whatever you want to do, that's what you want to do. And I don't care. And I would support you in whatever you want to do. But when it comes to crossing that line and telling me how I'm going to be, or trying to force me to be something that I'm not, or to agree with you when I don't, not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I think that is a large part of the problem that we're having right now, not just in America, but probably all over the world. It's this unrealistic expectation from this younger generation that, their ideas are better than ours. Well, I got news for you. Sometimes that may be the case, and I'm open to that. But a lot of the time, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about or what is going on. You have no real notion of what's going on. And I'm not playing ball. I'm not doing it. I've come to that conclusion. And you want to know something? There's a lot of people that I speak to personally, that I meet out on the street, and they think the same way I do. They're fed up. They're fed up with the bullshit that's going on. It really is happening. And I see the winds of change blowing through the world right now, and it's coming. It's coming. I've talked about it in podcasts before, where it's like, the idea in this world, this existence, is to really try to not rock the boat too much. And when you do that, you make trouble for yourself. There's a cliche, that goes something like this: what goes around comes around. And yeah, you might be able to get away with, talking down to people and forcing them into, monitoring their speech and changing the way they talk and think. But it's going to eventually wear off. And what goes around comes around. It's a thing called karma. And nobody likes a taste of their own medicine. As I've said before on this podcast, in the past, I watch a lot of YouTube. I pretty much don't watch television ever anymore. I haven't for about 20 years. And I watch a lot of concerts and live performances on YouTube. I enjoy that, And I'm noticing that nowadays, a lot of the time, with the concerts that I'm watching on YouTube, they're filmed very well. The sound quality is incredible a lot of the time. It was never that good when I was younger, especially on television or any kind of recording or broadcast or whatever. I remember a day when, on Saturday Night Live, they had the worst live recordings. It was absolutely terrible. I knew that when a band was playing on Saturday Night Live, the sound would suck. It was not a reflection of the band. It was like they just didn't have it together like they do now. It's pretty incredible, pretty impressive. But what's strange is, and why I'm bringing it up today, is because I'm noticing that it's pretty strange. The younger generation of kids that go to concerts, they just kind of when they're at the concert, they just kind of stand there You know, they're not excited. They're not dancing. They're not moving. They just stand there and stare at the band while they play. You know, and it doesn't matter what band it is. I mean, even with like metal bands where, you know, mosh pits used to be the way to go. They ruled the day. You know, there's really not a whole lot of that anymore. And it's really kind of funny for me to watch live concerts now because, you know, I will watch it and like I said, it sounds good. The band's playing well. Everything's going okay. The lights are great. The sound system is awesome. It's state of the art. But the crowd is all standing there, some of them holding a phone up above their head, you know, or filming the concert while they're standing there, which, you know, they've been doing that for, you know, over a decade now. And I'm sure enough people have talked about that and commented on that. So I'm not even going to do that because it's so silly and stupid to stand there when you're watching a band you love and you're filming it. You're watching the concert through your phone. It's like, oh, it's just pathetic. But anyway, the point is that when I was younger and I would go to concerts and hang out and do that kind of thing, the crowd would get excited and they would dance and they would move and there were people having a great time and slam dancing and stage diving and all that kind of stuff. There was none of this, you know, capturing the moment on camera for future posterity. You know, it was like you were in the moment, you know, and excited to be there and having a good time. And I mean, when I think about it now, it makes me laugh because I can't believe there was ever a day when I was stage diving, but I did a lot of it, you know. When I was younger, I went to a lot of concerts, you know, and all different kinds of venues and everything. And I can only remember maybe once or twice where I was standing still, you know, at a concert. And I don't understand what's going on in the brains of the people that are at these concerts. Like they're acting like they don't care about what's going on the stage. Like they paid for the ticket, usually an incredibly high ticket price, you know, like $200 to $400 for a ticket, something stupid like that. And they're standing there like nothing's happening on the stage, like they're not reacting or having any fun. And I wonder sometimes, it's like, are they having fun? I mean, is it even fun for them? I don't know. And, you know, to be honest, it's not just the kids, okay? Because there are a lot of times when I see older people in the audience and they're doing the exact same thing. But like, what is up with that? Can somebody explain that to me? Like, why would you spend that kind of money on a ticket for a concert that, you know, hopefully is a band that you enjoy, music that you enjoy, and then you go to the show and you just stand there? Like, you don't even like sing, clap, you don't move. You're like paralyzed staring at this band performing. And yeah, okay, maybe you're taking it in, you're observing and you really want to see it, but I don't know. It's like somehow the excitement of live performance or going to see a live performance has lost its edge, you know? Like, it's not exciting for the people anymore. And I don't quite know why. I don't understand why. But I can say that in that sense, I'm very grateful that I'm not performing live anymore, because the audiences don't even get into it or get excited or do anything. And, you know, really, what's the point then? You know, think about that. What's the point of going to a concert if you could literally just watch it on TV and, you know, you're not going to get anything different? You know, think about that. Do you guys remember that? I mean, you older folks out there in the world, do you remember going to shows when you were younger and how crazy and wild concerts could be, and how much fun it was and exhilarating. And yeah, maybe sometimes you got in a fight, or there was trouble of some kind. Somebody was drunk and they got disorderly and got arrested, or those kinds of things. They were belligerent, right? But most of the time, at least from my experience, it wasn't like that. There was a lot of fun and people just having a good old time, you know? And I see this younger generation and I wonder if they even know how to have a good time anymore. And if they don't, that's pretty strange, isn't it? I think it's pretty strange that they don't even know what to do or what is fun. They weren't taught that, maybe? I don't know. What do you think? I'm sure somebody will let me know what they think. Maybe, maybe not. You know, over the course of my lifetime, throughout the past 53 years of my life, the idea of feminism has always been something that is kind of every once in a while percolated up to the surface of the social whatever, the social stratosphere, you know, and it would make my radar, and somebody would be doing something and there would be a protest or something, right? But, you know, over the past, 5 or 6, 10 years, the rise of feminism has been really something that is, taken the headlines and kind of garnered a lot of attention from a lot of people, and myself included. And while I don't always agree with everything that's going on or what things that are being said, for the most part, I give them props. You have a grievance of some kind, you stand up, you let yourself be known, you state your opinions, and you hopefully try to implement some kind of change. But it's one of those things that's maybe a little bit awkward to talk about, but I've been married for 20 years now, and my wife is somebody obviously that I love and care about very much, and she's a professional woman, kind of the opposite of what her mother was. She was not a homemaker. She went out into the world and she got a degree and she started to work in a field she's been in for 20 or 30 years, and I've gotten to watch that happen. I've had a front row ticket for that show, watching my wife grow into the woman that she's grown into. And I admire her and I encourage her. I always will, I always have. And I think it's kind of interesting though, because what's happening right now in the world of women, in the world of feminism, I see like a new kind of revolution starting to form, starting to take shape, not just here in America, but really all over the world. There are a lot of women that have a alternative idea of what feminism actually is, other than what's being touted by, the woke crowd or the liberal crowd or whatever socially is acceptable right now. There's a lot of women that I see that aren't really down with that kind of feminism. They're not going to dye their hair pink, They're not going to get a sleeve tattoo, to prove that they are, a strong woman, They're not going to toe the party line. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to go out into the world and make a difference and work hard and be successful and wear lipstick and nice clothes and pearls, and they're gonna be feminine, and I see off in the horizon, in the future, a wave of women that all stand up and they kind of promote a new kind of feminism. Maybe it's called like lipstick feminism, or that kind of idea where it's okay to be feminine. That's a sign of strength. I mean, it sounds goofy, right? But I can kind of see it. Funny enough, it started with somebody like Martha Stewart. That first kind of like challenge to the world of feminism from other women that don't agree with the way that it's getting done right now. They have a different definition of feminism, and not entirely different, but just different in very particular ways. And, it starts with somebody like Martha Stewart, but then it goes all the way over, swings all the way over to somebody like this one lady. Her name is Posey Parker. I think that's like the name she goes by, like her pen name. I forget what her real name is, but she's known in the world as Posey Parker. And she's kind of like a Marilyn Monroe kind of looking chick, and she's from England. And, she's a mom, she's a mother, and she's a strong woman, and she's very well spoken. She's speaking out about things, about what is a woman and all that debate and all that kind of thing. And there are some women, like, quite a few actually, that are really, at least from what I can tell, are kind of offended by that whole what is a woman question. They're offended by that because, someone else is deciding what the definition is, or okay, they're deciding there is no definition. Like, how ridiculous is that? There are some women who will not say that they are a woman. They won't even say what a woman is or whatever. They will not. They will not. They will not. They will do what they're told, and they'll do what everybody else is telling them to do. But there are a lot of really strong women out there that are not doing that. They're not gonna. And what's that other woman, Riley Gaines, that athlete who's kind of speaking out and saying what she thinks, and gonna probably change some things, man. These women are not kidding around. And it's interesting for me as a man to sit back and watch them do it. I support that. I do. I mean, I don't care who you are, what you think you are, or what you say you are. I don't care. I respect you. If you have an opinion, I will hear you. I will listen to you. I will always listen to you. Always. No matter who you are. But this idea of like shutting people down and getting violent and being cruel or whatever it is because somebody has an opinion of something or has a different point of view, there's no room for that in the world anymore. And if a woman wants to be feminine, that's not a sign of weakness to me. That's a sign of strength and beauty, Is it wrong for a woman to want to be beautiful? For herself? Like, come on. Get out of here. Why would you want to cancel somebody who's pretty, beautiful, and strong? Why wouldn't you want to cheer them on and encourage them? If you're really a feminist, Like, does a woman have to be Sinead O'Connor in order to be a feminist? Or can they be like Martha Stewart, right? What an interesting thing to think about. I just watched a documentary on Martha Stewart, and I mean, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Martha Stewart. I don't really follow her or understand everything that's going on with her. But after this documentary, I gotta tell you, I had a new kind of respect for her. I didn't understand or realize exactly what she was doing for the world of feminism by being the kind of woman that she was. And oh my gosh, if there's ever been an example for the younger women out there of what to do or how to be, my gosh, this woman's story is absolutely incredible. She's more successful than most men are, and she's more feminine than a lot of women are. It's unbelievable, all in one person. What a story. And they just threw the whole world at her for being that way. I mean, it's true. They did. They went after her because she was successful and she was feminine and she was really pretty and she was really smart, and they went after her. The whole world did. They threw her in jail, right? And the animosity towards her. It's just like, it's unbelievable. It doesn't make any sense. It's disproportionate, to what she is or how hard it was to be her. It's unbelievable. I admire her now. I didn't really care about her before. I didn't know too much about her before. But it's like a lot of other things in life. If you get a little bit of insight into somebody's life and what they've gone through and where they're from and how it went for them and how hard it was for them, you start to gain a little bit more respect for them, and you see a lot more of their humanity. And you realize that there's a lot more to the people that are out there in the world than just the political and social issues that the rest of the world is kowtowing to and trying to force people into. Life is more complicated than that, and people are more nuanced. And that goes for everybody. I mean, everybody. Every person you ever see, every person you talk to ever in your life is like an ocean. There are so many things. There's so much depth to every single person, no matter how smart they seem to you, no matter how stupid they seem to you. Everybody has a story. And it's not a one-size-fits-all world. It's just not. And it's not gonna be ever. It will never be. So this idea of trying to forcing everybody to think and talk and act and do a certain thing a certain way or whatever, that's, a little more palatable to the people that are out there listening or doing or whatever. It's more acceptable, right? It's bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit. And like I said earlier in the podcast, that idea about the kid in the back seat telling me how to drive, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Shut up, okay? And quit trying to tell me how to be or force me into being something I don't want to be. I'm doing okay. I don't really hate anybody. I don't have a distaste for anybody that's different than me. I'm doing okay there. I figured that out when I was younger. I don't need you to tell me that I have some kind of advantage or whatever, some kind of white privilege or something, whatever it is you're trying to retrofit everybody into, right? It's not going to work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Stop it. Stop it. White privilege? I have white privilege? Really? Really? Do you have any idea how hard my life was? Of course you don't, because you weren't there and you don't know anything about me, right? And you want to know something? The honest truth? I don't know anything about you either. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's what needs to change. And if that's the case, then what people need to be doing is talking to each other more. Openly, honestly, directly. But unfortunately, I think we're a long ways out from that happening. But I wouldn't rule it out completely, and I wouldn't say the future looks bleak. I don't think so. I think the future looks bright, and I think the future looks exciting and colorful. A lot of interesting things coming up real soon. But even the things that are down the road a ways, it's going to be a pretty interesting time to be alive. And like I said at the very beginning of this podcast, I'm 53 years old. I'm, 3 years past the big 5-0. And let me tell you, I am so glad to be alive. It is a great time to be alive. Don't forget that, people. Don't forget. If you're alive right now, you're listening to this podcast, you're comprehending what I'm saying to you, you're listening to me, then listen to this. Life is good. Your life is good. You're alive. Live it. Life is there to be lived. Have fun. Eat good food. Laugh. Enjoy yourself. Work hard. Do something really cool today. All that kind of stuff. Think about it. It's probably the only way to be, in my opinion. And that's just my opinion, Not a big deal. Just somebody's thoughts. That's all it is. Not an ideology or an ethos. Just an idea. Just something I'm saying. I may change my mind. Then again, I may not. You know what I mean? Over the past 3 years, pretty much, since Joe Biden became president of the United States, I've been noticing a lot of talk about California, a massive state in the United States and a very important state in the United States. I've been there once, kind of, and California, I grew up on the East Coast. California is like on the other side of the continent, and throughout my lifetime I've heard things, saw things, a lot of culture and a lot of music and films and all those things come out of California. A lot of the food that we eat all over the country, comes out of California. And unfortunately, California is like one of those states that seems to be kind of hitting the skids a little bit. There's, from what I see on the news or whatever, I'm not sure how much of it can be trusted entirely, but you hear stories about tent cities popping up everywhere, and the homeless this and the homeless that, and the migrant issues, all those things you hear about in California, and you see the footage of the streets of California. The stores are closed. It's just people are, moving out of California in droves. There's like mass exodus to states like Nevada and Arizona and Florida, Texas, people abandoning California. To see that happening, it saddens me. I don't have any stake in California. I don't have any family there. I got one friend in California, and he's still there. But I find it strange, okay? I found it strange. And again, I'll say this. I'm not sure how much of the news I'm watching can be trusted. I don't know what exactly is true and what isn't. I don't know. And there's no way to know unless you actually go there and you walk around and see it for yourself. And I don't have that opportunity. So I have to come to conclusions about what I see. And, I see California as a state that seems to be failing and really going down the toilet. There's a lot of really bad stuff going on there. But what I find interesting is that I saw, footage of the leader of China visiting California. And it was strange because there's all this chaos and discord in California, but when the leader of China pays a visit to the United States, he goes there. Okay, thought that was strange. And what's even stranger is that they rolled out the red carpet for this guy. I mean, they practically redid the city in order to welcome the leader of China to California. That's weird, isn't it? It's strange to me. Now, why would that be? So I start thinking. I start coming up with ideas about what that might mean. Possibilities. And I had this thought. I can remember since I was young, there was always this talk about Taiwan in China and the United States, and this kind of like fight over Taiwan that's been going on forever. And to be honest with you, okay, I didn't really care too much about it. I didn't. Because, I don't know, I was busy doing other things and caring about other things. I didn't pay too much attention to it. But I've heard so much about it over the course of my lifetime that, I've gleaned some insight and some information about what's going on in Taiwan and the relationship with America and China. And, I'm not quite sure where I stand on all that. I don't know enough about it to really have a strong opinion, but I know enough to know that there's trouble there. There's a problem there, and I'm not sure exactly who the aggressors are or what's going on or whatever, but there's a problem apparently in Taiwan with America and China and Taiwan. It's been known for decades, right? So seeing all this stuff shake down in California and the way things are going in California, it's obvious that something is majorly dysfunctional there. If the news feed I'm getting is trustworthy, and that's a big if, but is California being taken over by China? Now think about that. That's a pretty outrageous thing to say, okay? But think about it. There's two major cities in the United States that are really, spiraling down the toilet right now. New York City is one of them, and Los Angeles, San Francisco, that area out there, those areas out there, they are all kind of in the same situation. It's very strange. So I wonder if, is it possible that China is trying to do to California, okay, what America did to Taiwan? Now, I'm not sure. And anybody who's out there that knows more about this than I do, because that's probably pretty much everybody who's listening to this podcast right now, you probably all know more about this than I do. Maybe somebody would tell me. Am I way off base? Is that whacked out? Is that wrong? Is California being taken over by China? Is the land being bought? Is it being, politically influenced? What's going on there? Where the leader of China comes to the United States to visit, and he visits California, and they roll out the red carpet for him. Think about this. Tent cities everywhere in California. But when the leader of China comes to visit, they clean it all up. They move everybody out of there that's on the sidewalk living in a tent. And they have like flags and stuff. And there's a parade for the leader of China in California? I don't know. It's pretty strange. Not quite sure what to make of that. And you want to know something? Because I don't know what I'm talking about, that's all I'm going to say about it. You know what I mean? Anyway, my happy innovators, on my 53rd birthday, I think I've said enough. I've blathered on enough and probably pissed off a lot of people too. And that's okay. Well, maybe not a lot of people, because I'm not really sure how many people are actually listening, right now to this podcast. But anyway, my happy innovators, I'm going to leave it there for today. I want to thank you for listening to my podcast today, and in a small way, celebrating my birthday with me. And so remember, folks, if you want to keep what you've got to give it away. Take it easy, everybody. Okay there, happy innovators. For those of you that are kind enough and generous enough with your time to stick around to the end of the podcast for some music, today I'm going to share with you the remixed, re-recorded version of the song Dream On that I recorded for the Life Edit album, like a best of pipe choir album that I released, probably about a month and a half ago, maybe longer, I'm not quite sure. But I wanted to share with you this version of the song Dream On because I like it. I mean, I worked pretty hard on it, and I was really careful, with this song because it is one of my better songs. It's one of my better known songs all around the world. And a lot of people really love this song, so I was really careful with how I handled it. I didn't want to make any errors or any mistakes and ruin it. I'm sure you know what I mean. So without further ado, here we go. It's the re-recorded version of Dream On. I used all the original tracks from the song, including my voice and everything. I didn't add too much singing or anything like that. But I did, however, add some new music to it and changed the production quite a bit. And I'm happy with it. I really do like it. I go back and listen to it and I'm like, yeah, still sounds good. Still sounds good. And that's not always a given. Sometimes you try to do something and it doesn't work out so good when it comes to music production and stuff. So in this case, it's a thumbs up. So here we go. Dream On from the Life Edit album, the best of pipe choir. And enjoy it, everybody. Take it easy, and I'll talk to you soon. You'll be hearing from me. Peace out, everybody.
Is everybody in? Ready for launch? Is everybody in? Ready for takeoff?